Hi guys, what is going on? Thanks for stopping by. Welcome to my channel where I focus on free-to-play and PvE in-game progression stuff. I thought I'd change around my intro again just because, you know, I am now slowly but surely moving into late game, and that means I'll cover all of the different areas, at least most likely. We'll have to see what happens in the future, but I thought in-game progression is a generally good term here, and also this video is going to be about something that maybe everybody might be interested in. Free-to-play, early game, mid-game, late game. Just everybody. I want to talk about masteries and which champions we want to put masteries on, spend the energy, invest the resources, because it's crazy expensive actually. 2,500, round about that if I'm not mistaken, or 800 gems in order to get one champion fully mastered, to get all the masteries for a champion. And so I thought I'd look at my account and, you know, look at the different champions and give you examples for who I would put masteries on and who I, you know, at least give a second guess to. The reason why I'm talking about this, or why I was thinking about this is actually Alure. I built her and then I noticed, well, she's kind of a specialist. You know, we have those champions we really use a lot. We have those champions that we don't use a lot or not at all. And then we have that middle ground. We have those champions that we use in specific areas, and we know that we'll probably use them for a while in specific areas. And I think for those, the big question comes up: do we want to make that investment? Do we want to put the masteries on them, invest the 800 gems or 2,500 energy? I think it might even be a bit higher than that, in order to get them fully mastered. I don't know if I can say that, but I'll just use that phrase here. So I have decided I won't put masteries on Alure. I won't make that investment. I would have used her in Fire Knight, but with the turtles, I'm probably going to be able to do Fire Knight hard in the future. And if you use her in Fire Knight, even then you might want to consider not putting masteries on her. Because what is the big value going to be? Yeah, the runs are going to be a bit faster, but it's not going to be like the masteries are going to change the outcome of the runs. They are not going to, at least in Alure's case. In some cases, the masteries are huge and very important, but in Alure's case, the masteries wouldn't have a huge impact, except for the damage that I'd get from War Master. Now, I did make one run in Minotaur's Labyrinth and just gave her some crit rate, which she needs for her A1, and then accuracy on the support side here, with charged focus being pretty decent because I'm only using her A1. I'm going to talk about partially building masteries in a second here as well. But yeah, like I said, I've decided that I really want to save the resources, and I think she's a great example for this. Another specialist that you might want to rethink or consider not to put masteries on would be Glade Wolf. I mean, he has a counterattack, 3-time hitter A1, he has a counterattack, and he is therefore attacking a lot, so I would lean towards him having pretty big value with masteries, especially because I'm using him in Iron Twins, and even sometimes Hydra. Sometimes in Fire Knight, but that is not going to happen in the future probably because, you know, turtles. But I will definitely use him in Iron Twins, and making those runs faster, because I'll have to do that every single day, and the counterattack and the 3-time hitter can be pretty decent. So I think he's a similar champion to Alure, but I would value him, definitely on my account, I would value his masteries higher than Alure's. If you do Fire Knight, like I said, you'll have to rethink that. You'll have to rethink that. How much Fire Knight are you going to do? How much is that 20 seconds going to help you that Alure would save you on each Fire Knight run if she had War Master or Giant Slayer, for example? Let's see, who else? I actually have masteries on my Vergis. That was because I thought he would have to do Scarab King for me. Now Mikey does that. If that wasn't the case, then Vergis might be a candidate not to put masteries on either. You could go for Bulwark with him, so he reduces the damage that allies take as well. If you use him in Clan Boss, for example, that is definitely a viable option. But how long are you going to use him? How long is he going to be a champion that is going to help you on your account? And how much is the 2,500, 3,000 energy going to be worth it if you decide to invest that into him. I'm not using him anywhere anymore, to be quite honest here. Like, I think he's a decent champion, but there's just so much power creep in the game, and there's just so many better champions than him. Duhr the Hungerer. I would usually only use him in faction wars. Usually. But in terms of my account, I'm using him in Sand Devil, and I will probably use him there for a long time. And whenever there's a Sand Devil turn attack tournament going on, he is going to be, you know, next to my Donatello, next to Mikey, the only 3 champions doing damage. And so him having War Master might actually have a pretty decent impact on my account, which is why I'm going to go down the left-hand side here, get a bit of more extra damage from the A1, which isn't going to have a big impact, and then I'm going to take War Master on him because I know I'm going to use him for a long time. Let me see if I find another good example here. I actually found one. I'm going to build, or I am planning to build 2 of the fusion epics that we just had in the past, because I feel like a lot of us have them and I want to see what their value is so that I can show it to you guys. But I'm probably not going to build masteries on them until I really know that they have huge value. Looking at their kits, I don't feel like I'll use them in many areas. Like, Hilda is going to be very fun. She seems great. The A1 is super amazing. If you can't do all the potion keeps yet, and if you still need to do some of those, then her A1 is going to be huge, but masteries are not going to help with that. Then we have the A2, just going for some extra damage here and then placing heal reduction. Masteries not helping too much. And then the A3, increase attack on herself and a stun, 60%. Nice, but you know, we could make these skills a bit more effective with certain masteries, but it's not going to be essential, and her not being an essential champion on my account, I probably won't build her. Probably won't build masteries on her. I'll take her to 60. Thorn Golem, on the other hand, he actually has a decent chance to get masteries on my account, just because I will probably use him in Hydra as a mischief tank. At least that is a possibility. I'll have to see how well that works, but as soon as I see that he, you know, with counterattack and increased resistance does work as a good mischief tank, and him counterattacking is going to mean that he is going to counterattack a lot of the Hydra heads, and that means that War Master might actually have a decent, you know, damage output in Hydra for me. So I might build that on him. Unfortunately, I will have to take him to, you know, at least level 50 maybe first to see his value properly. And I would really love to be able to level him up in Minotaur's Labyrinth, getting masteries and XP at the same time. But that might not be possible. You know, there might be a lack of efficiency due to that, but I'll have to see how everything ends up and how everything works out. Maybe somebody else already has a video on him out there. Apart from that, he's a decent champion, but he's not going to come in too many areas for me. I've already heard he might be decent in Chimera though, but I'll have to see about that. So I hope this gives you a decent idea. I think, just as a side note here, there is always the option of only partially building a champion with masteries, not going all the way. For Alure, for example, she's not too tanky. She really has trouble surviving. So for her, it might be a decent option to actually just go a bit down the support side and a bit down the defense side. We can get, with relatively little investment, can get a lot of value out of these two areas here. Looking at the defensive side specifically, Tough Skin, giving her just extra stats, decreases damage received from AoE attacks by 5% is huge. Most bosses do AoE attacks. Rejuvenation increases healing and shield buffs this champion receives, just a nice bonus. And then I think the big thing to call out here is Delay Death. Reduces the damage this champion receives by 6% from a specific enemy when it's fully stacked up, you know? So that's pretty huge. And then we could just go for some extra shenanigans here on the support side as well, depending on the buffs and the debuffs and everything that we get for a champion. I think I should call out Lore of Steel here because it just gives us extra base stats as well, being pretty decent. And you could not go with pinpoint accuracy actually here on the first mastery. You could just go steadfast and get like close to 1000 HP more. So that, I think that's also always a decent option to go with these masteries if you don't want to go all the way and don't care too much for War Master here, for example. All right, guys, I think that's it for the video. Like I said, I'll make a little follow-up video here talking about specialists and how to build them, because I think it's really useful to do Minotaur's Labyrinth whilst building champions. Like I said, you get XP and you get scrolls, so that's really great. But if we don't do Minotaur's Labyrinth, where do we actually want to build Alure, for example? And I want to touch on that really quickly in a follow-up video, but I think, you know, just trying to keep it a bit shorter here. Guys, that's it for the video. Thanks for stopping by. What do you think about Masteries? On how many champions do you build your Masteries actually? Because like I said, it's a huge investment, and I would really love to see or hear about your approach in terms of Masteries. Guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you have a great day, and I hope to see you on the next video. Until then, bye.